Hi, I'm Starr. I'm 28. I was 12 when I was diagnosed, and I was diagnosed on Halloween. That was so lucky. Um, and I kind of went through the same as you. I was going to doctors. I had a headache. I went to three, GPs, and two of them said it's because I'm going to be starting puberty that I had really bad headaches, and another one said that I've got an ear infection. So my mum took it in her own hands and did trial and error. It's because I'm too close, like with my laptop. I was too close. It was like right in my face. So she bought computer table. So I had distance. But that didn't work. And then she bought me a keyboard, so I had even more distance from the laptop. So it didn't work. And then she went, "Do you know what? I'm going to take you to Specsavers because I think you need glasses." And it was Specsavers that saw a swelling behind my eye and said, "You're going to have to take it to the most acute hospital." And it was Boston we went to first because that was our most acute because we lived in Skegness. And they did MRIs and tests, and my balance was well off. And then they just come to me, not to my mum, come into my room and just said to me, "I'm really sorry, sir, but you've got a brain tumour." And I just looked at my mum and said, "Mum," because the only thing I was worried about was I'm going to be late to do my trick or treating. and and my mum obviously held it all together as she always does. And we had to be blue lighted to Nottingham. They did MRI, more intense things, and yeah, they said we're going to have to operate. It was quite serious. It was. I was still at this point. Well, I'm going to be so late to do my trick or treating. So my mum was there. My dad come eventually when he found out that I had a tumour. And all these tests one night, and then I kind of passed out because I was so tired. And then next day it was like a consultancy about how we're going to do it. And they're telling us, I'm sat in the room. They didn't put cotton wool over it or anything. I'm sat in the room. My mum and dad's there, and they're explaining, "Well, you've got this," and I'm thinking, I've got no idea what they're on about. And they said, "Have you got any questions, Starr?" And all I could say was, "Am I going to die?" And this is what I mean about the not covering it in cotton wool or bubble wrap. They went, "It's 50-50 for my op." I was like, "Oh." And that, huh? Yeah. Can you ask me questions now? Because
So, Starr, when we talked, and Mum, when you had the operation, there were some changes that happened after that. Do you want to say what happened after that? You had the operation, and they got most of the tumour out, didn't they? Which was a medulloblastoma in the back of your brain, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because the tumour at the back of my head was like a peach, large peach, and it went round cerebellum and everything. So they were focused on that in the consultancy room and looking at my scans. But when they went to put an EVD in to drain fluid off my brain, they saw that it had, what's the word?
Spread a little bit?
Yeah, metastasized, and it come to the top of my head. And It was only a little tumour, but they said we'll get rid of that with chemo and radio, because they could, when they tried to get it out, my vital signs went off, and yeah.
And then when you woke up, you said Mum was shocked and crying. Why was that?
Because my surgery just went on a bit longer, because of the tumour and that it had spread, and obviously my mum's worrying that, is she all right? Is she all right? And I couldn't speak. They couldn't bring me up to the ward until I could speak and wiggle my toes. I couldn't speak. And
you couldn't. You told me you couldn't walk, and you'd gone back to being like a baby, crawling on all fours.
yeah,
And your mum was shocked because what had been a bit of bad balance, which was what you went in with, and some headaches, suddenly meant that you couldn't get up from your hospital bed. You were reduced to being a baby again.
yeah.
And she was thinking, well, maybe Mum can say what she thought at that time. Do you want to pass her the microphone?
It was a shock. That I'm not saying that they didn't explain it fully in the consultation, but all me and her dad was thinking about was, is she going to survive? And I'm sure that they told us that this might happen. But to see your 12-year-old having to learn to talk and having to learn to walk, crawling on all fours, and smiling at me, beaming smile because she'd got up onto all fours, and I'm like, I can't believe this. This is just, it's not right. But she persevered, and she did us proud, and she continues to do. But hearing Bex's story, it is just seems to be just one thing after another. You go on a little bit of a plateau, and then it's something else, and it's something else. But we'll just keep fighting on.
And I think what you demonstrate is Bex's tumour is in a very different position in the midbrain. Yours is in the back of the brain, and different parts of the brain do different things. So although hers was a very malignant tumour and Bex was a low-grade tumour, that they weren't, actually they've both had very different effects. And the late effects are actually due to where the tumour is rather than what treatment you've had. So if Bex's tumour was in a different part of the brain, it could have been taken out. Yeah. But because it's right in the middle, it can't. And I think this is the issue, that oncologists talk about cancer grade and then they dictate their treatment. Recovery specialists, neurologists and endocrinologists talk about tumour location, tumour position, what injury is caused. And that's why, so what you had is what we now call post-operative mutism. And when I first started 25 years ago, we used to think that was a radiotherapy effect. And it's taken a long time to realize that it's trying to get the tumor out and get it all out because it's a cancer. And it's quite devastating. And there's a lot of research going on in it now. But there's been a big focus to take all of the cancer out to cure you. And did you get rehabilitation afterwards, and what's it left you with now?
So now, because I was very stubborn.
That's a good thing.
So they were saying, it's going to be at least, I can't remember how long they said, but it's going to be at least 6 months. That's it, 6 months until you're actually going to be able to walk again, and I wasn't taking that. So in 2 months, I did it in 2 months because I signed up to do a 5K, and very, very stubborn. And I was in physio every day, doing all sorts really, to try and get so I could do this 5K. And when I did do it, it was hard. Obviously it was, but I did like some of it in my wheelchair, some of it walking, and I was like a child again and saying, "Well, I can't do it. I really can't do it." And then it was like my mum would say something, and I'd go, "Well, you're stupid because I can do it."
And Starr, I think you're actually working now, aren't you? How are you managing all that?
Well, I actually work as a support worker for people with difficulties like autism and all that kind of stuff. And do you know what? I have never felt so welcomed and wanted from them because they understand.
Yes.
You know, staff still don't 100% get it because I do present normal, if you want to call it that. They do. But the guys that I support, the professional relationship with them, and I love it. I love the job because I can relate to what they're doing. And when they're feeling like that, I haven't had autism, but
You've had something.
I've had something.
You know what it feels
like.
like to be different. And it sounds as if what would help you most is people understanding that you take a little bit longer to do things, but you can do things. And that's quite difficult to do. And not a lot of employers understand that, and not a lot of other people understand that.